What's going on, people? Welcome to episode 90 of the Michael Lab Show, closing into 100 reviews, ratings on Apple Podcast. I didn't even realize that I had to look it up last week. Or I knew that my podcast was on Spotify, but I didn't actually know how many people listen to it on Spotify. So I put up like a rating or like a poll on my Instagram asking when people listen to podcast or my podcast specifically. And there was a number, it was like 30% of people said Spotify, which I expected Apple to be more, but I didn't expect Apple. I thought Apple would have a lot more than 70%, even though 70% is still pretty high. But I am happy to see that there are that many people listening to the podcast, especially since I honestly think Spotify is going to be the next hit. I mentioned it a little bit in the last podcast about the Joe Rogan deal with Spotify and how they paid him $100 million plus. It's got to be more than that because he's going to drive in billions of revenue just from signing Joe Rogan, because the act of them doing that is going to have them get more and more podcasters in the future, and more podcasters means more revenue for their company. That was a genius move by Spotify. Joe hasn't addressed it really since the Instagram post he made. I'm sure he will address it. I have a feeling he's going to have one of his friends come on the podcast to really talk about it. As you can see here, I have a missing cactus. It's I didn't water it for a few months, and I didn't know it was dying. It's over there, straight ahead from me. I didn't know it was dying until somebody came in here and showed it to me. I was like, shit, it is dying. But I did replace it with this guy. I think we named him like Jahona, something like that. But yeah, guys, happy Memorial Day weekend. A few updates. If you guys on YouTube, you can see this. My dad actually made me a really nice vertical bookshelf, it looks amazing. It is amazing. It holds all my books. I kept this painting that my girlfriend's sister made for me. And you can see just barely in the view, I have my monkey pillow, my ape pillow, my chimp pillow. It doesn't really showcase too well anymore, which kind of makes me sad. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get it in the frame. I was thinking about putting it like right here, but that's on my closet, and then I wouldn't be able to open my closet at all. I also changed my my chair. I have a chair. As you can see, I'm sitting a little bit higher right now. It's these little changes like that make the podcast fresh. It makes it more adventurous to come to every day. But yeah, man, what's been going on? How's everyone doing? It's like day 50, day 90 of this lockdown. Shit's starting to open up, thank God. I think June 1st in Maryland, we're going to open up like nail salons, and I think non-essential businesses are going to be allowed to go back to work, like 50% of normal capacity. It's weird. Like, they have a mathematical equation for it, which is super duper strange. I think if it's like 100 square footage, like per 100 square footage, you can only have a certain amount of people. This whole thing is just getting so weird. On Sunday, so on Memorial Day weekend, you guys are listening to this on Tuesday. On Memorial Day weekend, Ocean City's been open for about a month now. A little bit, yeah, about a month. The boardwalk has been open to the public. And before that, it was closed. You can still get on it. The beach was closed. If you're like a local, if you live in the area, they weren't kicking people off of the boardwalk from being on it. So it was technically closed, but people were on it. But this is the first weekend it's open, or it's open for Memorial Day weekend. And since the shops opened up like last week at like certain capacities by Governor Hogan, the shops on the boardwalk are open now. So the only thing, so there's no difference between this Memorial Day and last Memorial Day besides the implementation of social distancing, which isn't really happening. If you look at pictures if you just Google Ocean City right now, since you guys are watching this on Tuesday, I'm sure someone's gonna say something about it. But Ocean City is fully packed to the gills. At least like at the beginning of the boardwalk. The beginning of the boardwalk is where most of the people go because that's where the biggest parking lot is. Ocean City is packed to the gills. Everybody and their moms out at the boardwalk, and it's fascinating because the people there, I'm sure these people aren't afraid of coronavirus, because you would think if you're going to go there, if you're going out in public right now for any reasons besides to get essential items, to do whatever, to go to the bank or to go to the grocery store, then I'm assuming you're somebody who isn't afraid of catching coronavirus. I was telling my girlfriend this. I said, I'm not afraid of catching coronavirus because if I do get it, I know I'm not going to die. If I just look at the numbers, like nobody dies at my age. And the people who do die, it's a freak accident or it's extremely immune compromised or there's some other underlying condition. I got nothing to worry about. And then it comes in the other argument. The other argument is, well, you're the reason that my grandparents are going to die. Well, no, I'm not. No, because I'm not going to go around older people. I'm not going out looking for senior citizens to get sick and kill them. So it's a weird thing. But when you see these images of Ocean City, it's hilarious to just, and I don't mean hilarious in like haha, look at that. I mean it in the irony behind it. How there's signs, because I've been there. There's signs in Ocean City that say social distancing, practice social distancing, 6 feet apart, wear a mask. We highly recommend wear a mask. But then you see these images and literally nobody is wearing a mask, and literally nobody is staying 6 feet apart. Everyone's just slammed up against each other. It's summertime, man. It's that time of the year where people are trying to get out of the house. You know that time of the year when you're in school, you're in middle school, high school, elementary school, especially elementary school. And you got through the winter and spring's right around the corner. And one weekend, your mom's like cleaning out your room. She's cleaning out her room. She's cleaning the house. Your dad's cutting the lawn. And it's like 55, 60 degrees, It's starting to feel good. The weather's starting to change. You're seeing the sun more than you're seeing the snow. And your friends are starting to get a little wild. It's springtime, right? And you get that spring fever where you're sitting in class and you're just looking outside and you have ADD Mike over there sitting in the room who's never paying attention. But now it's completely impossible for me to pay attention at all. I'm staring at everything outside. I'm staring at the buses. I'm listening to the police sirens. I'm watching the birds. I'm thinking about being a Power Ranger, saving, women from the side of the highway, hanging out with my friends, turning into the Hawk, going to bodybuilding shows, just thinking, playing kickball with my buddies, just thinking of everything that's not school. You know that feeling when you feel like the entire world has just stopped for a second and you get to just go out there and bake in the beautiful sun. Well, that's the feeling that nobody experienced. Nobody got to experience that this time around. Nobody got to release their inner feelings for spring fever. The spring fever is a real thing, man. Especially if you live on the East Coast. Obviously out in California, it's not as big of a deal. By the way, Rochester, New York, that's where I get my most listeners from. Seriously, most of my listeners, the highest percentage city-wise is in Rochester, New York. Dude, I've never been to Rochester, New York. I didn't really know what Rochester, New York was until I saw a House Hunters episode, and these people were looking for a house on Lake Ontario out in Rochester, New York, and then I finally realized what it was. But seriously, everybody out there, thank you so much. You guys show so much love for a city that one of the comedians I listen to, his joke about Rochester, they just have like neck tattoos, and it's like where all like the violent white people go. I don't believe in that. I hope I didn't lose all my Rochester listeners, but that's what this comedian says. But now I do know where Rochester is. I know it's right on Lake Ontario, which is beautiful. I'm scared shitless of the lakes. I get scared of any big bodies of water just because it's just so eerie to me. I don't know what to do with it. But seriously, thank you so much for people out there in Rochester, New York. But back to reality. We're like a bunch of chickens penned up, bunch of pigs pent up, and we're ready to just go, So whenever there's any type of gathering place that's open, there's always going to be a mad dash. And then you throw in the fact that it's Memorial Day weekend. And then you throw in the fact that it was 80 degrees yesterday on Saturday, and Sunday, which is today, where everybody's there. And then you throw in the fact that we've been on lockdown for months, and the lockdown finally has been lifted. Yeah, you're going to get this. You're going to get this mad rush of crazy people. But there's people that are there, I don't think they're afraid of getting coronavirus. And I think the people that are there are not getting coronavirus checks. They're not getting tests. I've never got a test. I don't know anybody who has coronavirus. I don't know anybody who's personally died of coronavirus. I don't know anybody who's been hospitalized for coronavirus. But I'm sure I've ran across 1,000 people. I'm sure I've ran across probably 500 people who have coronavirus. And I don't say that in like a bragging way. I just think a lot of people do have it, and a lot of people don't get tests. I don't even know where to start to get tests. Apparently, we got like 500 tests from South Korea. That's what Governor Hogan said, but I don't know anybody who's gotten it. I don't know anything about it. Nobody knows anything about it. So I think this weekend it was just people have finally proven that they don't want to be locked up anymore. They just don't want to be locked up anymore inside their house. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I think we're going downwards where people are just forgetting about it. This is really dark, but I think if there was like a huge terrorist attack or if there was something that took our attention off of this, people would forget about coronavirus. I feel like we're all just watching a play right now, and we're all sitting in the front row and we're all paying attention. We were all watching the characters. We cared about the plot. We were interested in the director and his take on the play, the stage, the lights, everything, the music. And I think after a while, a lot of people started to get up from their seats and leave the building and just didn't really talk about the play anymore. They didn't want to watch the play anymore. But there's a few people who are still paying attention. And then a little bit more time went by, and there were still people who were locked in watching the play and cared everything about it. They cared about it a lot. But I think most people left the play, and I think that's the situation we're getting in now. And if there's a huge accident or if there's a huge incident that pulls people's brains and attention span away from it, I don't think anyone's going to be talking about coronavirus anymore. And it's scary to think because there is going to be a bounce back. And it's weird because if you watch the news and you listen to people are talking about this bounce back like it's going to come back around. And it's like, yeah, no shit, it's going to come back around. Like, of course it's going to come back around. Just like the cold's going to come back around. Just like allergy season is going to go, and then it's going to come back again. Just like flu season is going to be here again in 7-8 months. Just like every sickness comes back around when it gets colder outside. It's like there's a bunch of like fear mongering that's going into this coronavirus. I haven't been afraid once. It might have been a few weeks or a few days where I was like, shit, man, I don't want to get it. But I couldn't separate if I didn't want to get it because I was afraid I was going to get sick, or I didn't want to get it because I was afraid that I got like caught by the big thing, like the thing that everyone talked about. I didn't want to be it. I didn't want to be the person who all my friends said had it, you know? But I'm not afraid of it. I'm just not. I know I'd be totally fine. I went running again this morning, and everybody and their mom was out. Like, it was 8:55 this morning on a Sunday morning, and I go to a park, and usually, because I've been running every day, and I run at this place, it's called the Kent Island Trail, Cross Island Trail. It's across the Bay Bridge, across the Chesapeake Bay, if you don't live around here. I guess it would be like going across the San Francisco Bay out in California, or any bridge in the United States, in the world, because we all know what a bridge looks like, and I just digress. But I go running there every single day. I think I've done 12 days in a row of a 5K. The most I ran was 8 miles, then 7 miles. And today I actually came in the mail today, I bought a nipple guard. So I bought a nipple spray that you put on your nipples so they don't rub. Like this, I was not expecting this at all, but your nipples chafe up so much when you're running, especially when you wear like a heavier cotton shirt, like this one that I'm wearing today. Shout out to Rise Up Coffee. Looking for that sponsorship. I got your coffee here, and I got your shirt on my chest, man. I'm looking for that sponsorship after I spill my coffee all over the place. But yeah, there's been nobody out there running. Maybe a few people here and there. I'm going pretty early in the morning, between 8:30 and 9:30, so, you know, not crazy. But this morning I go out, you would have thought, I mean, not that you would have thought, everyone was going there to have cookouts. The grills were already heating up. People were getting ready to have cookouts. It was crazy. It doesn't seem, it seems like, here's an example. You know, when you're in class and, I'm just trying to think of a title. Sorry. Country is fed up. I'll think about it later. Sorry. Chill out, Michael. Calm down. Like, you know, when you're in class and you have that teacher, and they're a good teacher, you know, they teach well, but what they're really good at is, I'm thinking like middle school. What they're really good at doing is keeping the class calm. They keep the class clown quiet. You know, they keep the jocks quiet. They keep the girls, you know, not whispering about each other, not gossiping. They kind of keep the class that should be out of control under control. And they do this. We don't know how they do it. The administration doesn't know how they do it, but they do it. You know, they do it. This is almost like what you're seeing now. Like this ability. I was telling Taylor this. The media is the only reason why there's any panic whatsoever. If there was a switch that you could hit and you turned it off the media, if you turn off the news channels and you turn off Twitter and the news feeds for 48 hours, Monday and Tuesday, maybe just Monday, by Wednesday, nobody would even talk about coronavirus. It would be over. They're like the Adderall to everybody's ADD. They make people pinpoint focus on it. It's like they tell you about coronavirus, they pop that Adderall on you, and all you care about is the coronavirus. And that's how it was at the beginning. Everybody in their mind was talking about it. It was the thing. It started off as a meme, and then it ended into this chaotic shutdown of the whole world. And it was the fear-mongering that was controlling everybody. And that's what you saw at the beginning. And you saw it for a while. You saw it for a few months. But it's at the point now where the statistics just aren't scary enough anymore. The average person's 81 and they're dying. If you're under 70 years old, the odds of you getting it are incredibly low. And then the odds of you dying are incredibly low. It's weird. It used to be the number of deaths was the scary part. But now it's the number of cases that is the scary part. But who gives a fuck about the cases, right? I know cases is the only way it can lead to deaths. But when you're just showing people the deaths, it can come off in the millions, which I'm sure it is. It's in the millions of cases. But if you look at the cases of the common cold, that's probably in the billions. And then if you look at the death rate, it's higher. I don't know if it's higher, but it's right up there with the coronavirus. I know the flu is, if not higher. It's just there's constant attempt to scare people into abiding by the rules. And I think what's happening now is that class just had their teacher leave for a week and the substitute's coming in. And the substitute can no longer keep the class afraid and scared. And this class is starting to act up a little bit. They're starting to act up a little bit. They're starting to put the foot down. They're saying, no, your rules were too aggressive. We didn't agree with that. This is why you see protests. And this is why you see people getting arrested for opening gyms. Like there was that guy out in California who went to go open a gym. And he got arrested. Meanwhile, the same state is releasing sex offenders because these sex offenders don't want to get coronavirus. I'm sorry, but if you're a sex offender and you're a child molester, you deserve to get murdered in prison. You don't deserve to be out there in the public because you're afraid of getting coronavirus. Your sick little body will fight off coronavirus, you fucking pervert. You know, and it's like, it's this coronavirus has been able to it's like a virus in the sense that it's gotten into our mind. If anything, the biggest side effect of this whole coronavirus is this fear, this ability to make rational people become completely irrational. I've seen people who I've admired for a long time of my life. They're smart people, but they've just completely lost their mind over this thing. Completely lost their mind. I've had, it's just, and it's like it's been closely tied in with politics, which I know from the beginning I've been saying this has been the thing that's been driving me the craziest. By the way, if somebody ever disagrees with what I say on this podcast, this is my podcast, so I will continue to say what I think is right, but I do highly suggest people to shoot me a message and we can talk about this. I'll put you on Zoom, I could put you on Bluetooth, and we could sit down, we can talk. But this has gotten weird into our politics. It's gotten weird into the political system. Joe Biden was with Charlemagne the God. I'm sure you guys saw the clip. I forget what it was word from word, but what he said is, if you don't know who to vote for and you vote for Trump, then you ain't black. It was something like that. Or it's like if you don't know, if you can't decide to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black. He says something that was so arrogant and out of control to say, because when you hear a statement like that, well, you just became racist, right? When you say something like that, you just became racist. And also what you did is you're showing how dumb you are, because the thing is, when Trump became president, millions of people voted for him, and that included African Americans voting for Donald Trump. There's groups of Facebook. There's Facebook groups, African Americans for Trump. There's Republicans who are African American. It's not just white people who vote for Donald Trump, Caucasians who vote for Donald Trump. Now, I'll say it, there's probably a large majority of his voters are your stereotypical Caucasian Americans, the ones who live in the flyover states, the ones who probably are slightly bigot. Those people, very America First people. But there's plenty of them who are also African American. So when you hear a statement like that, it just takes you away from what we're doing. Again, it makes you just forget about what it means to run for president. It's become a game where it's like parties against parties, and it's weird. I was talking to Taylor about this on the way to Rise Up Coffee. There's people that I know who are smart as hell, smart people, intellectuals. They have the ability to really sit there for weeks on end, and have an idea and have a thought and think about it. Really think about it. Think about where there's openings to be attacked. Think about where it's not fully completed and it could probably be patched up a little bit. Like real intellectuals who are at this point with politics where they hate a party member so much. In this case, Donald Trump, they hate him so much that they're willing to refuse to. I understand you don't have to support him. I'm not saying you should support him, but when you're choosing someone to vote for, and that person that you chose because you hated the other party more than you like your current party, you have an issue. That's weird. That's a childish thing to do. Mature people, smart people become very childish when it comes to politics. And I always feel cautious when I talk about this because people get so upset so quickly. But when you have a guy like Joe Biden who has been accused multiple times for sexual assault by multiple women, where Donald Trump has been accused once, and I don't know where that case went. I think it kind of fell out of court or whatever. And then he had a stripper who he had an affair with, but she ended up making millions off of him. And then you have Joe Biden, who has been caught on video, like whispering to little kids and like kissing them and asking them to like play with his feet. And you have him accusing a whole segment of the world, of the country, African Americans, saying if you don't vote for Donald Trump and you don't vote for me, then you're not black. If you have people who support a guy like that, that's fine. But if the reason they support him, they don't agree with him, but they just hate the other party so much, that's when you have an issue. That's a legitimate issue. And that's what we're dealing with here. And guess what's going to happen? Since that is the truth, since that is what's happening, since there's so many people that hate him, well, the same way that Michael Jordan, when he played basketball, he was an enemy to a lot of people, but it made him better. People who are hated the most tend to do the best. And this is what's going to happen. November's going to come around, and Donald Trump's going to call Joe Biden, lazy Joe Biden, whatever he's going to call him. He's going to make fun of him. It's going to make the headline news. People are going to talk about it. And Donald Trump's going to become president again. And there's people that hate him. They're going to be pissed off again. They're going to be mad again. I don't know. It's a weird situation we're playing in right now, with the way that the news is portraying coronavirus. You watch CNN and it's gonna kill us all. You watch Fox, they don't care. You have states like Los Angeles, California. I know it's a city, but you have states like California who are acting like this thing is going to continue to kill us all. And then you go to Texas and nobody really gives a fuck. Or you go to Georgia where you can sit down and get sushi. Or you go to Missouri where they opened up concerts. Or you go to Maryland, which is like on the fringe, but people don't care. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see what happens. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So I've been thinking about starting to invest my money into something. I don't really know exactly what to do. There's a few options I've been thinking. I've been thinking about going into like the stock market hard, especially now since the stocks are a little bit lower than normal. They're obviously not as bullish as they normally are, which I think bullish means like amazing, like doing super well. So if you guys could just please leave me like suggestions of where I should put my money. I'm not too good with investing, but it is something I do want to get into more and more and more. I am a little bit in the stock market. I only have like $80 in the stock market, which is like, I know nothing. Like that's not even like a share of Apple. Like the shares I have are like pharmaceutical companies, like small ones. And I'm making like zero to no money, like $1, $2 here and there. But I'm willing to invest like $10,000 right now into something. And I want suggestions. If you guys could help me out with it. If you guys know anybody who's like a financial guru, just please reach out to me. I ordered the book and it actually just came in today. And after I do this podcast, it's hot as hell in this room. I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to start reading this book. I just finished Maps and Meaning by Jordan Peterson. I'm telling you guys, this book right here is so thought-provoking. It teaches you, it showcases everything that you intrinsically know. It brings it to the surface about how we develop thoughts and how thoughts come to our head and how we portray thoughts and how you take a concept, like a superhero, and it goes throughout the entire world and it showcases that concept in real time. It's a fascinating book. It's a hard read. It took me like a solid 2 months to read, just because there's so many words in it. I was in front of Google, just Googling a bunch of words because I didn't know what they meant. But it allows you to understand the importance of life, and it really teaches you maturation, especially for men. If you're a guy out there and you feel a little lost right now and you don't know why, pick up this book. Jordan Peterson is a mastermind when it comes to that. When it comes to anything related to maturity in a man, especially men, and taking on responsibility, the importance of taking on responsibility, and why you should take on responsibility, and why you should make your bed every morning, and why you should work hard in a relationship, and what that actually does, rather than what people say it does, but what it actually does for you intrinsically. If you're confused with any of that, or if that sounds appealing to you, pick up this book. You will love it. You will love it. It's a little bit of a grueling read, but there's some parts in it. The parts that are amazing are absolutely stunning. I bought the book War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, who's a guy that he refers to a lot, and Peterson refers to Leo Tolstoy a lot in Maps and Meaning. He's a Russian novelist. People say the greatest author of all time. I don't know. I've never really read his stuff. But I did pick up his book called War and Peace. I didn't realize it was a 1,000-page book. When I bought it, I didn't really look at the page count because it was kind of cheap, so I didn't think it would be that long of a book. But it's a book that I was going to read. I actually started reading the introduction, but I stopped reading it because my Rich Dad Poor Dad book came in, and I know I need to read that book right now, especially since I have this money that's kind of just stacking up right now. And I want to invest it into the right things to to have it grow the best and for it to be safe and to make the most ROI, return on my investment, as I can. In addition to that, I just want to say one more thing. This is going to be a very short podcast, only like a 30-minute podcast today. I did put up a video of my first podcast ever on Instagram, and I got a little bit of feedback on that. I put it up because I wanted to show people where this podcast has come from. I've been doing this for 10 months, and I have 90 episodes up now. The podcast, I used to sit right here facing that way. Now I sit in the corner facing this way. I did that for a reason. I didn't have all these posters and all these objects around me and all these cactuses because I didn't have a personality yet in the podcast. Now I have this. Now I have this pretty nice studio. I like where I am right now. It shows a little bit more of my personality. And I wanted to put it up there because I want to show people that whenever you start anything, it's going to take time for it to develop any type of steam. The amount of downloads I got in May are almost double that than I got in April. And it's going to keep growing like that. And it's going to sometimes take a year. For me, it took a year, and it's probably going to take longer, 2 years, 3 years. But I love doing it. I found something I love doing that doesn't really feel like a job. Yeah, there's time that goes into it, but that's a sacrifice you put down, you know? But I put up that video of my first podcast 10 months ago in July because it was so bad. I didn't know what I was talking. I was talking about water and shit. It was just so bad. I remember that I was working with Vince, the guy who helped me start the podcast, VW Fitness. Check out his Instagram page. He's a great guy. I haven't had him on the podcast. I will have him on the podcast. Just I haven't got around to it. I'm sorry, Vince. I will get you on the podcast. But he's doing super well. He does a bunch of supplement reviews and everything like that. But we put together this podcast. He reached out to me, and he helped me out. But it takes time. Sometimes it takes a long time for things to work out. But I put that up there just to show people how bad it was at the beginning. It was embarrassing, but it's up there. It's the first episode, second episode. Every episode up to 90 is up there for you to watch. You can watch it, laugh at me, do whatever you want. But I'm proud that it's up there. And I'm proud that 10 months later, we have almost 100 ratings on Apple Podcasts. We're getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of downloads and listens on all the platforms a month. And everyone's enjoying the content. It just means a lot. This is my baby. It's something I'm proud of and something I'm going to continue to do. And yeah, I put that up there because it's just a reminder that shit takes time. The greatest things take time, but they are worth it in the long run. But yeah, guys, short podcast. It's only like 33 minutes. I know it's a shorter one, but that's okay. That's okay. It's hard to come up with things to talk about twice a week on lockdown when you're not allowed to leave your house. But shout out to Rise Up Coffee. I love you guys. Seriously, if you guys want to sponsor me, that'd be awesome. I know we share the same customer base. People listen to my podcast. I'm sure they know about your coffee place. But I will continue to give you guys free promotion because I really do love the product. And I say it all the time, and I will continue to say it. Support your local businesses right now. They need everything that they need all the help that they can get. So if you're going to go out, buy something from a local business, I'm using Amazon. I'm a hypocrite. But I have bought locally. I've gone to Rise Up Coffee for 10 days in a row. Spend $9 every time I go. It's $90, $100, and they could use that money. Support your small businesses. Do what you love. It takes time. Don't stop. Listen to the haters. Sometimes they're right. Thank you guys so much. This has been episode 90. I'll catch you guys in episode 91. Have a great Memorial Day week. I'll see you guys on Thursday. See ya. Thank you. Love you.